Gaslighting is one of the most subtle yet devastating forms of psychological manipulation that a person can experience. It does not usually announce itself loudly, and it rarely appears in an obvious, dramatic way. Instead, it creeps in quietly, often disguised as concern, misunderstanding, or even love. It is the act of distorting another person's reality, making them doubt their own memory, perception, and sanity. This form of manipulation is not just about lying. It is about systematically breaking down another human being's sense of truth so that the manipulator gains control. And in our fast-moving, interconnected world, it is more important than ever to learn how to recognize it and to understand how to respond. The term gaslighting originates from a play and later a film where a husband deliberately manipulates his wife into believing she is losing her mind. He does this by dimming the gaslights in their home and then denying that the light has changed when she comments on it. This metaphor remains painfully accurate today. When someone gaslights you, they change the brightness of your world, and when you point it out, they insist you are mistaken. Over time, the constant insistence that you are wrong, that you are misremembering, that you are overreacting, chips away at your confidence. It makes you question whether you can trust yourself at all. Gaslighting can take place in personal relationships, in workplaces, in friendships, in families, and even in larger social or political contexts. A partner may deny saying cruel words that you clearly heard. A boss may minimize your achievements and exaggerate your mistakes until you believe you are incompetent. A family member may retell events in a way that erases your pain and elevates their perspective. At the broadest level, entire groups may be told that their experiences are invalid, their history misremembered, or their struggles imagined. No matter the context, the pattern is the same. The manipulator bends reality to their will by making you distrust yourself. The techniques of gaslighting are varied but predictable once you learn to recognize them. A common tactic is denial. You recall a specific incident, and the manipulator flatly rejects that it ever happened. You bring up something they said, and they respond with, "That never came out of my mouth," even though you remember it vividly. Another technique is trivialization. Here, the manipulator dismisses your feelings and reactions as unimportant, often saying things like, "You're too sensitive," or "You're overreacting." Then there is the strategy of countering, where they question your memory of events. "Are you sure you remember that correctly? You've been so stressed lately, maybe you're confused." Over time, these repeated doubts erode your confidence until you begin to wonder if perhaps they are right and you are wrong. Projection is another weapon in the gaslighter's arsenal. They accuse you of doing the very thing they are doing themselves. If they are being dishonest, they accuse you of lying. If they are being manipulative, they call you controlling. This not only deflects attention from their behavior, but also leaves you defending yourself against false charges instead of addressing the real issue. Gaslighters also use positive reinforcement to keep you off balance. After belittling you, they might suddenly offer praise or affection, leaving you confused and more dependent on their approval. And sometimes they enlist others in what is called gaslighting by proxy, convincing friends, co-workers, or family members that you are unstable, making their version of reality seem even more convincing. The impact of gaslighting is profound. At its core, gaslighting is an attack on a person's sense of self. Imagine walking through life with the foundation of your trust in your own mind slowly crumbling beneath you. Victims of gaslighting often experience chronic self-doubt, anxiety, depression, and even symptoms similar to post-traumatic stress. They replay conversations over and over in their minds, wondering if they really misheard or misremembered. They apologize excessively, afraid of being wrong. They withdraw from friends and family because they feel too confused or ashamed to share what is happening. Worst of all, they may begin to rely entirely on the gaslighter to define reality for them, surrendering their independence and autonomy. Recognizing gaslighting is the first step to breaking free from its hold. Awareness is the key that unlocks the manipulator's cage. If you find yourself constantly guessing your memory, if you feel like you are walking on eggshells around someone, if you feel guilty or ashamed for emotions that are valid, these are red flags. Keep an eye out for repeated patterns because gaslighting is rarely a one-time occurrence. It is a sustained campaign designed to break you down gradually. Trust the discomfort you feel in your gut, because often your intuition senses the manipulation long before your conscious mind can name it. Responding to gaslighting requires strength and strategy. The most immediate response is to anchor yourself in your own reality. This means documenting what happens, writing down conversations, saving messages, keeping a record of events. These notes are not just for proof against the manipulator. They are also a way of reminding yourself that you are not imagining things. They validate your memory and help you stay grounded. Another powerful response is to set boundaries. When the manipulator tries to distort your perception, calmly and firmly restate your truth without engaging in endless argument. For example, if someone says, "That never happened," you can respond with, "I remember it differently, and I trust my memory." Boundaries send a clear signal that your sense of reality is not up for negotiation. It is equally important to seek external validation. Isolation is one of the gaslighter's strongest tools because when you are cut off from other perspectives, you are more likely to doubt yourself. Talk to trusted friends, family members, or counselors who can affirm your experiences and remind you that your perceptions are valid. Hearing another person say, "Yes, that really did happen," or "No, you are not crazy," can be profoundly healing. It reestablishes the bridge between your inner world and external reality. Another strategy is to resist the temptation to win with the gaslighter. They thrive on pulling you into endless debates, twisting your words, and exhausting your energy. Recognize that you may never convince them to admit the truth because their goal is not to reach understanding but to maintain control. Instead of fighting to win the argument, focus on protecting your own clarity and peace of mind. Sometimes the most powerful response is disengagement, refusing to fuel the manipulator's tactics with your attention. Self-care is not just a cliché in this context, it is a necessity. Gaslighting depletes your mental, emotional, and physical reserves. To fight back, you must replenish them. Practices like mindfulness, journaling, meditation, or even simple activities that bring you joy can help reconnect you with yourself. Exercise, adequate sleep, and healthy nutrition are not just physical needs, but also reinforcements for your mental resilience. The stronger your sense of self, the harder it is for someone to convince you that you are not who you know you are. In situations where the gaslighting is severe or persistent, professional help can be invaluable. Therapists trained in trauma or emotional abuse can provide tools to rebuild self-trust and navigate the process of breaking free. Support groups, both in person and online, can connect you with others who have faced similar experiences, reminding you that you are not alone. For some, the ultimate act of reclaiming reality may be removing the manipulator from their life entirely. This is not always easy, especially if the gaslighter is a partner, family member, or employer, but sometimes distance is the only way to heal. Gaslighting also raises a larger challenge for us as a society. How do we create cultures where truth is honored, where manipulation is recognized, and where people are empowered to trust themselves? This starts with education. The more we talk about gaslighting, the more people can recognize it in their own lives and in the lives of those around them. Awareness campaigns, open discussions, and honest conversations help dismantle the silence that allows manipulation to thrive. It is also about building environments, whether in families, workplaces, or communities, where validation, empathy, and accountability are the norms. Equally, we must examine our own behavior. It is easy to point to others as manipulators, but all of us have the capacity to distort reality in small ways, whether through denial, dismissal, or defensiveness. Part of responding to gaslighting in the world is committing to integrity in ourselves. This means practicing honesty, listening deeply, and validating the experiences of others even when we do not fully understand them. By becoming conscious of how we interact with those around us, we reduce the likelihood of perpetuating the very patterns we seek to dismantle. Gaslighting thrives in the shadows of confusion, silence, and isolation, but it loses its power in the light of awareness, validation, and courage. Recognizing it requires education, attentiveness, and trust in our own perceptions. Responding to it requires boundaries, support, and often the bravery to walk away from relationships that are designed to break us down. At its heart, resisting gaslighting is about reclaiming the one thing no one else should ever control: your reality. When it comes down to it, gaslighting isn't just about manipulation. It's about stealing your anchor to reality. And the greatest gift you can give yourself in life is learning how to hold onto that anchor no matter who is trying to pull it away from you. Because here's the truth: people can deny your words, they can twist your actions, they can rewrite the past, but they cannot rewrite what you know to be true inside your own mind and heart. The danger comes when you start giving them permission to do that. That's when the cracks begin. That's when self-doubt spreads like poison. That's when you wake up one day wondering if you've lost yourself completely. Gaslighting thrives because it convinces you that your senses are untrustworthy. The manipulator doesn't have to shout, doesn't have to rage, doesn't even have to be clever. All they have to do is chip away at your confidence one small comment at a time. That never happened, you're too sensitive, you're remembering it wrong. Little phrases, said often enough, can become walls inside your head, and those walls box you in until you are looking at the world through someone else's version of events instead of your own. That's why awareness is so powerful. Once you name it, once you recognize the pattern for what it is, the walls start to crack. You see the tactic, you hear the tone, and suddenly, instead of thinking, maybe I'm crazy, you start thinking, wait, this is manipulation. That single shift in perspective is the first crack in their control. Responding doesn't mean you need to fight every battle, win every argument, or convince the gaslighter to admit the truth. That's a losing game. Because the goal of a gaslighter isn't to find truth, it's to maintain power. The way you take back your power is by stepping out of the game completely. You refuse to argue about your own reality. You say your truth calmly, firmly, and without apology. And if they keep pushing, you stop feeding their fire. The moment you realize that not every accusation deserves your defense, not every denial deserves your energy, is the moment you reclaim your peace. And yes, sometimes reclaiming peace means distance. Not everyone you care about should have a front row seat to your life. If someone repeatedly shows you they cannot honor your experiences, that they will twist your reality for their own comfort, then they have shown you they do not deserve that closeness. Protecting your peace is not cruelty, it's survival. Protecting your reality is not selfish, it's healthy. If you don't protect it, no one else will. The bigger picture here is trust. Trusting yourself is not just a skill, it's your foundation. If you trust yourself, no one can pull you apart from the inside. If you trust yourself, you can walk away from manipulation without carrying their version of you in your head. And if you trust yourself, you can stand in the middle of chaos and still know where solid ground is. That's the power gaslighters fear the most, that even when they deny, dismiss, and distort, you will not surrender your own truth. So the real conclusion is simple: don't hand over the keys to your reality. Hold on to them, protect them, and lock the door behind you if you have to. Gaslighters only win if you play along and you don't have to play. Stand firm in your truth even when it shakes, even when it's challenged, even when the person doing the shaking is someone you once trusted. Because your truth is yours, and no one has the right to steal it.